All right, everybody, welcome back to the Roofr Masterclass. I am your host, Pete McKendrick, with my co-host, Nick, and we are joined today by power user Amanda Venot. Welcome, Amanda. Happy
Thanks.
to have you on the show. I
Happy
think
to be
have we
here.
had you on this show before? We've had you on the podcast before, not on the masterclass, right? I
I
was
think I
trying to think
was
of
on the master class a
were
very
you on the
long time
masterclass once
ago.
before too? Yeah.
I think
I
so.
was trying to determine whether I can't remember. So I was trying to determine whether you were on the masterclass or the podcast. So
I can't remember.
yeah. Well, welcome either way.
Thanks.
Excited to have you on. Excited, the good topic here, Nick, right? To talk about, obviously the season in full swing now for most people. So leads are flowing and it's a great topic, I think. Good timing.
It's super important one. We dug into a lot of this. Like this is our oldest tool. This is the first tool that we created back in 2016, and it's gone through all the different iterations. Now it's just a part of the entire ecosystem with Roofr, which is awesome. And Amanda and I chatted earlier or late last week actually, and just kind of went over some of the numbers and got some really cool findings from it because it gave me hope as well because I was like, I know that this works because I see it work for my dad on these certain time frames and stuff like that. But seeing it with Amanda in a different country, a different state, and everything else, dealing with it, excited to share some of those findings that we found.
Yeah, I mean, like Nick said, this is our oldest tool. It was one of the first things we had, and took it down and brought it back, and it's been super effective. We've seen some incredible uses of it, right, Nick? A lot of versatile uses to the instant estimator, and a lot of success from the people who are using it. So excited to kind of dive into deeper into the numbers and really get into, Amanda, how you guys are leveraging it and how it's working for you. So
Sure.
Nick, do we have some housekeeping slides here before
Got a
we dive
couple
into it?
housekeeping slides. Obviously, it's myself and my Batman, Pete McKendrick. Missing you last time was stressful. I always am very
Got to
conscious
keep
of
you
like,
keep you on
okay,
your toes. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not a born leader. I'm a born follower. So I needed my Batman there. So if you guys
Yeah.
need anything, have anything that you want to talk about, especially how poorly I ran the masterclass last week, you can email me at nick@roofr.com or Pete and make fun of me at pete@roofr.com. So we're always here for any feedback and information that you're looking for. We also get, I know Pete, you as well, after masterclasses, people emailing us just about questions about something that we went over and stuff. So
Yeah.
use us as resources for you guys as well. And yeah, also for you guys to know, again, these are always recorded. These will be on our YouTube later, as well as our Roofr account. So you can go to roofr.com/masterclass. You'll be able to find them there in our help center as well. And if you have any questions, we have Jen in our chat. She'll be there. So please feel free to reach out, ask anything that you have there. And if you have any feedback, email Jennifer@roofr.com. And there'll also be a survey at the end of the masterclass. So please fill that out. It helps us make it better. And we do have a new lesson in the Roofr Academy. The Roofr Academy is coming in strong, which is great. This one's on job tasks, email automations, and more. So check it out at roofr.com/academy and or academy.roofr.com rather. And that's, I think, all the housekeeping items we have right now, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys haven't leveraged the resources section on our webpage, definitely take a look at it. There's a lot of stuff there. Obviously, the master classes that Nick and I do, there's tons of those. The podcasts that we record, Roofr the Month podcasts are all on there. And just a lot of great resources now with the Roofr Academy and some other stuff that we have on there as far as blogs, I think that Jen has written and, some other folks have contributed to. So, definitely jump on there and take a look at those because they're, a lot of helpful information on there. I actually had a new employee working at Roofr who told me that they listened prior to being to coming on board with Roofr. They listened to a bunch of the master classes and podcasts to kind of get a feel for the industry and to get the customer, the contractors insight into how they use Roofr and stuff like that. So definitely take a look in there if you get the opportunity or if you haven't yet. So let's jump into it, right? So let's talk Instant Estimator, our favorite tool.
It really is my favorite tool in there. We got a lot of good ones, but that one's one of my top ones. But I think it's been great because Amanda was, once we brought it back, was one of our earlier biggest adopters of it, as well as a bunch of our other tools. And it really kind of, like Pete said, always surprises us on different ways that people are utilizing it. I remember early on, I had somebody, and I've told the story before on the masterclass, but come to us and say, or come to me after he got it. He's like, I broke the system. I figured it out. And what he did was he was a high-end roofer, only did slate, synthetic slate, tile, standing seam. So his ICP were wealthy individuals and families. So what he did was he got from Vistaprint 2,000 business cards for like $200. On the back was just his logo. On the front was just a QR code, no name, no number, or anything, and said, "Do you know how much your roof is worth? Find out in 30 seconds." And he went out to local restaurants that were high end, that would house his high end potential clientele, and would walk in and drop stacks of his business cards on the waiting room table and leave. And every weekend he would get 2 to 3, maybe sometimes more leads from his ICP for that type of roofing. So it was perfect for him to kind of open it up, and with a marketing budget of $200 and maybe a little bit of gas getting from place to place, not too bad. So we always find different ways that people are using it, and diving into everything else is going to be really exciting today.
Yeah. I mean, let's open it up. Amanda, what are some of the ways that you guys have leveraged the instant estimator? And obviously we talked about different ways you can use it with the QR code and stuff like that. How are you guys utilizing it?
So when we first started the company in 2023, I actually had the QR code on the back of our business cards as well. And back then you were able to customize various links through the instant estimator for different purposes. So we could always use it for tracking reasons. I was actually going through my data just now. I have it open on my screen. And when you were talking, Pete, I was looking at all the different instant estimate lead sources. Our primary one, and the way that we use it the most, is through our website. So if you go to our main website, the first thing you see above the fold is the link or a button to click to take you to the instant estimator. So we don't do any traditional paid advertising except for like a $5 a day Facebook budget right now. And it's really just more of a brand awareness campaign. So when people go to our website, they're going to our website with intention, right? Like when they're landing on our website, they're there because they were either word of mouth, they saw our job signs, they saw us on Facebook or other social media sites, and 80% of what we do is roofing. So we make it really easy for people to find out what their roof is going to cost them, at least at a high level, and a range price. So it weeds out the people who are just curious what the price is going to be and they're not ready to buy. It weeds out the people who are going to find us too expensive and would have wasted our time anyway. And then it really allows us to narrow down our customer service focus so that when we do get people on the phone, we can almost pre-qualify them. So our close rate, and this is something we could talk about, has increased significantly over time with the instant estimate tool. And Nick and I were on the phone the other day looking at the data, and I was really curious to see if there was seasonality, to see if people who came in Q1 closed at higher rates in 2024 versus 2025. But what we're finding is it's not really the case. It's such a small amount of differential that we should just keep directing people to our website, keep allowing them to use the instant estimator regardless of season. So there's a lot that you can do by tracking different links. You can use different links in different seasons. You can put links on your trucks with QR codes. You can put links on every salesperson's business cards and have, you can almost gamify it and say, okay, let's see who gets the most instant estimate clicks this month through their business cards, through their outreach. You can use instant estimates on your top clients who refer you all the time. You can make your own little mini sites and put an instant estimate on a mini site from that client. So you could track that client's referrals through your instant estimates. There's all different ways to use it. There's different ways that we're using it that I'm not even talking about right now.
Super secret stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, It's funny because Nick shared, some of the data that you guys talked about with me the other day, and the first thing that stood out to me was the lack of seasonality, right? The fact that the Instant Estimator was performing pretty much the same across the whole entire year, whether it was in season or out of season. I thought, that was what stood out to me right away. Is this is a tool that is going to work for you 24/7, right? 12 months out of the year,
Right.
regardless of what the situation is. So, and, placement obviously is a big thing. I like the idea of gamifying. I don't know that we've really had that much, Nick, as a suggestion, but,
Mhm.
utilizing it to gamify things with your sales reps, I think is a great idea. Um, let's, I guess, dive a little bit into the numbers here
Sure.
and talk a little bit just to give some people an idea. Maybe they haven't used the instant estimator, or they're considering using it, or maybe they're just not leveraging as much as they could. And, just so people can see the impact of what it's been doing for you guys at
Sure.
Maven.
Yeah, what kind of numbers do you want to dive into? I
Well,
have
let's
my
talk.
data sheet open in front of me.
Yeah, let's talk about conversion right off the. You touched on conversion. Let's talk about conversion right off the bat, and how well are you guys converting, and then we can talk a little bit about how that's progressed, over the last couple of years that you guys have been using it.
Sure, absolutely. So our conversion, I broke it out overall. So we'll talk about my overall conversion rate, unqualified versus qualified, and then by year so far. So overall, I got my little my little sheet.
Cheat sheet.
We had 200. So again, overall, since April of or May of 2023, we've had 224 IE leads come in. 201 of those were in our territory. So 23 of those were people around the world using our instant estimate, seeing how it works and functions. So I scrubbed that. So I got it down to 201. And then out of the 201, 94 people have responded to our follow-ups. And what our follow-ups look like now is vastly different than what our follow-ups looked like in 2023. And we can dive into that as well. So that's a 46.7% response rate. So out of 201 in territory leads, 94 people responded to our text, phone calls, and emails after they went through that process. Out of those 94, 31 people have converted. That's 33% overall. Now, if you look at that in 2023, our overall conversion rate to a one proposal was 17%. Not great at all, right?
Mhm.
But then you look at 2024, it increased, it actually doubled, it more than doubled. It went up to 37.5%. So I went from 17 to 37.5. And then in 2025 so far, I know it's only 4 months in, but we're at a 42.8% win rate on our instant estimate leads.
That's amazing. And what would you attribute that jump to?
A couple of different things. So, elephant in the room, we're a young company. Back in 2023, my brand recognition and awareness was nowhere near it as where it is now. So, I think a lot of that 17% comes from just being very young and people not having the same level of awareness and trust that they have now. I would also say that I didn't have as much confidence in myself as a new company owner back then as well. So a lot of that is just directly attributable to my own sales performance. If you look at our close rates now outside of instant estimate, I'm probably closing at a higher overall percent, just generally across the board than I was back then. So that's some of it. More so, I think that what you're seeing is our processes and our systems that we have in place for responding to people who are coming through instant estimates. We try to respond to them within 15 to 20 minutes during work hours, and then a few hours later, if it's like after hours and I'm done getting my kids to bed and I can finally jump on and respond to somebody. And then if it's on the weekends, it might be a day. I haven't drilled down yet into who are the people that are closing at the highest percents. Is it the people we're responding to the fastest? Is it what demographic of people? Do they have higher end homes? I'm not sure. I still have to go down to that level. But what I can tell you, and what I did before, was I segregated the data out by location. So I took all of the 94 people who responded, and I looked at the 31 people who closed, and there is a 43% close ratio for people who are within a 10-minute radius of my office. So it's a 10%, not even a 10%, it's a 10-point higher close rate if they're within 10 minutes of my office. So in the future, maybe I would say, okay, if we are running brand awareness campaigns within a 10-mile radius of my office, or 10-minute radius of my office, I should probably include an instant estimate link on that brand awareness campaign, just to capture that data, because I know I have a really good opportunity of closing that person within that radius.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It ties into a couple things that you always talk about, Pete, right? Like, first thing, that's speed to lead. It's like, we know that, like, the studies show that you're 7 times more likely to win a job if you answer them in the first hour of their inquiry. And if you're hitting that 15-minute mark and stuff like that, that's huge. Even when we had the instant estimator and we were a marketplace back in the early days, I used to love calling those people as soon as that lead would come in. I would see that email and just hit dial. And I'd be like, hey, it's Nick from Roofr.com. Just wanted to talk about the quote. And I would always get like, dude, I'm still on your website. I'm like, that's the kind of service you're about to get from us. Like, that's how we help out. So that's a great thing there too. And then also, Pete, the neighborhood roofer that you always talk about, like,
Yeah.
those people in that 10-mile radius to Amanda are knowing her as the neighborhood roofer, which just helps out with that recognition there as well.
Yeah, I know Amanda knows is a part of Joe Hughes and Contractor Dynamics, and
Mhm.
that's a big Joe Hughes, the 5 mile famous thing. And and I think that we talk about it quite often, here on the Masterclass and other places, because it is so important, that whole, like, be that neighborhood roofer. And there's actual data proof of it, is
Mhm.
like, the people obviously close to you are the ones that are really recognizing the brand, and they're really, understanding. They're the ones that are, like you said, they're going to that website with a purpose, and obviously they're converting very high, so yeah, it's interesting to have, actual, like, data driven proof of that. Cause we always preach about it, Joe does, and we back him up. We preach about
Yeah.
it too. So, yeah, so it's cool to see it actually, like, in
It
numbers,
works.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
No, but, yeah, so very cool. I mean, I think, what have you guys done from a process standpoint? Uh, like, to really kind of hone the process around that instant estimator. Have you guys put automations into play at all? Like, we talk about, like, Nick brought up speed to lead. We
Yep.
have automations now in Roofr. But just some of the things that you guys have done from a process standpoint that you think have helped to, improve that conversion.
Yeah, definitely the ability to text and email directly through the job card has been huge. And just being able to use the template for communications. We send the same template every single time, and I modify the template as our needs change. Just today, we were implementing a whole bunch of automations, and I know you guys are really putting a lot of time and energy the next couple of quarters into automations. And we figured out a way to create a separate new lead bucket. So when all of the instant estimator estimates come in, they go directly into new lead. It's your original starting point for your job board. So now when we manually enter a lead, it goes into a second new lead bucket, so that the new lead bucket is only for instant estimates, the new lead bucket that we can't change, right? So I said, well, if we can't change it, then let's just put our manual new leads into a different bucket. And we actually delayed the response for automations to instant estimates to give us a 15-minute window of moving leads into our newly created new lead bucket, so that, God forbid, somebody accidentally drops it into the new lead automation sequence, they have time to pull it out. So, Sally Jones, who manually was entered into our system, but accidentally dropped into the OG new lead bucket, doesn't get that automation sequence for instant estimates. So I was going to talk to you guys about, let's figure out how to improve that even more, because it's going to be game on. Once you guys really figure out how to hone in the automations tying directly to instant estimates, I can only imagine that our results are going to overperform compared to how they are right now. So definitely utilize your templates if you're not right now for communications, text messaging, and emailing, and then set up automations for new leads that come in from instant estimate using your new lead bucket on Roofr.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, obviously, like we preach about, Nick and I always are talking about speed to lead, and how, and really in today's day and age, there's no excuse not to, right? Like you have the,
Yeah.
we're not the only show in town that has automations, so, regardless of what you're using, whether it's Roofr or something else, there's no reason to not have a quick response time, at least initially, to these customers, to really get the ball rolling and get the process started with them. So, speak, I guess, to some of the other things that you're doing downstream of that, though, to nurture those leads. Like, how quickly are you guys getting to those leads from like an appointment standpoint? Like how quickly are you guys? What's the time? If I don't know if you know this stat, but what is the time from the time an instant estimator lead comes in to the time you guys close on average?
So right now I'm looking at my data. I don't have the average time in the data set for when the lead came in versus when we went out there in actual hard evidence, but anecdotally, I could tell you within 48 to 72 hours is our average turnaround time between response to our, hey, thanks so much for sending or requesting the instant estimate. We need to get you scheduled for an on-site inspection. That on-site inspection happens within the first 72 hours, I would say. Then it's sort of our overall SOP is, if a salesperson okay, let me back up. Our overall rule is that if we're going round robin style with giving out leads, company generated leads to our sales team, if that salesperson doesn't have availability that meets the needs of the customer within 72 hours, we have to go to the next salesperson, because I'm not going to make a customer who's ready to buy a roof wait just for that salesperson to have availability. So that's sort of a big thing for us, is if you don't have availability, salesperson, then you don't get the lead. It goes to next in line. So let me pull up in my data set really quick and look at what the day from proposal to one is. So right now, let me sort this by one.
And the reason I bring this up, Nick, is because I think it's speaking to how quickly the process can move, right?
Exactly.
Because, like Amanda said, the people that are coming to the instant estimator are coming there with a purpose, and it's weeding out the people who are going to be, for the most part, that are going to be tire kickers and who are going to waste your time and extend this process. So, these people obviously are coming with purpose. They're getting the information that they want, which is allowing Amanda or whoever's using the instant estimator to narrow that window of time from, that would traditionally be from, lead coming in to close. And,
Right.
There's a speed there that, I think the instant estimator is definitely contributing to.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at this on average. So my days from lead coming in to one is, for the 31 leads, is 33 days, almost 33 days even. Now that's from lead to one. Now let me deselect all my instant estimates and then select everything else, so we could see all my one jobs over the last 3 years, except for instant estimate. And then what the average days from lead to proposal was. By the way, for everybody who's on the phone right now listening, I'm able to do all of this with the data that I can extract from Roofr. So it provides really valuable insights.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to note, right? Like, I think that, we're continuing to improve constantly, Nick, like our reporting and our performance dashboards and things like that. but the data is there, right? Like
And it's
obviously
yours.
Amanda, right? And
Yeah.
it's yours, right? And Amanda are able to garner all this information by the things that are happening inside of Roofr. She's able to pull it out and analyze it to, the depth that she wants to.
Yeah.
The data is there. I think that, there's some questions here about it coming in, I see in the chat, but it's just a matter of being able to pull it out and
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 you
being
could
able to address the stuff.
and you could ask your account manager for that as well. Like the one unique thing about one of the many things unique things about Roofr, but the big one is we don't hold your data hostage. Your data is your data. You're using our system to process it. That doesn't mean anything for us to own it. So we're the only CRM in that I know of in general where you can pull everything down to the payments and everything else down to the dollars and cents. So just reach
Right.
out to your account manager. They'll get a query sent for you and sent back to you. So while we're building up some updates to the performance dashboard, this is what Amanda does so that she can run her data and know her numbers very well.
Yeah. So I have some really interesting insights.
Ooh.
So for instant estimate, I said from lead, so the time the lead comes in to the time the proposal gets won is 33 days.
Mhm.
Now, when I deselect my instant estimate leads and only do everything else, guess how many days it increases for non-instant estimate leads?
15 days? Does it go about half as longer?
12.67 days.
Wow.
So my turnaround from non-instant estimate leads to one for winning the proposal is 45 days and 45.67 days
Mhm.
versus instant estimate leads are 33 days. So what that's saying is that people who are going to my website with a purpose, going through the instant estimate process, are buying faster than people who don't go through that process.
That's really good data because it's interesting now. They're not only getting price condition, but they're getting price qualified as well. They're coming in with that stuff, which again you mentioned at the beginning. It weeds out those tire kickers because ultimately, if you call someone and you have a range on the website, and we'll do a quick demo near the end here on some stuff that you could do, so we can answer some of the questions too. But if your low end is far too high for them, then they're probably not your customer. Now,
Right.
Amanda's not going to have to waste to send a salesperson out there to take a look at the job and everything. And the ones that are in that range, number one, you're helping out. I just see this cat in the window. But number one, you're helping them get price condition and price qualified. Number two, you're separating yourself from the competition. And number three, you're getting them the stuff that they want. I've been using the example of me buying a car last summer where I went to all these different car dealership sites, built the car that I wanted from scratch on there, got a price up front. I still had to talk to a sales rep. But using those numbers, I found out what was more in my budget and what aligned for it. And then I narrowed it down to 3 or 4 companies that I went in and had the conversations and narrowed it down to who it was. And the person who was most willing to work with my budget and the features that I want, and not the lowest price by any means, was the person that got the I got to buy the car from them. That's what I was trying to say. But the same thing goes with roofing. You want to be able to provide that. It's a new age. People are looking for things online. They want to be educated before they go out and talk to someone because they don't want to waste their time.
Right.
So that kind of shows something that I've always thought about, and it's good to see that directly with your data, and you pulling it up in real time is even better. So
I have some more insights I can share that I just pulled while you were talking.
love it.
I love data. It's my thing. I used to write and run global employee engagement surveys for corporate America, and I would live in data hell for weeks at a time. So this is sort of my jam. So the proposal one value
Mhm.
for instant estimates is an average of $21,098.
Wow,
My proposal one value for non-instant estimate leads is 14,297.
Wow, that's a big difference.
that's a
Huge
huge difference.
difference.
And do you think that's
$7,000 difference.
is that because that they're kind of do you think they're price conditioned so they're not getting sticker shock when they get that first proposal?
I think that it's a little skewed because we do more than just roofing. So all of your, I don't have time on the fly to pull out all my repair
Yeah.
leads. I'd have to do a full apples to apples comparison for you, which I'm happy to do. I just can't do it on the phone right now. But I mean, that's huge, right? So I'm filtering out people who are only wanting full roof replacements really through the instant estimate. And then the second insight is I cut the data from lead to proposal. So the time that a lead comes in to the time it takes to send out a proposal. This is sort of the sense of urgency that somebody has. That is 20.9 days with instant estimate leads and 26.65 days for non-instant estimate leads. So people who are just calling in or casually saying, hey, I want an appointment with you guys, are taking almost 7 days longer to book their sales appointment and get their proposal than if they went through the instant estimator, because they have a bigger sense of urgency.
Yeah, one of the questions I wanted to ask, Amanda, is internally, how has it helped your team to have that information that you're garnering from the instant estimator when they're going, like essentially like it's profiling that customer, they're answering a series of questions. I think I saw a question earlier in the chat. Someone asked, how much information are you gathering in those questions? And maybe you could speak to what you guys are grabbing there. What questions you guys have in your instant estimator. If you took any out, I know we have the ability to take some of them out now and move them around a little bit. So how you guys are set up, but how much of an advantage has it been for your internal sales team to have that information ahead of time?
So my answer is going to be a little bit skewed because I only recently hired a sales admin who has implemented a lot of the things that I'll tell you about. So our speed to lead has greatly increased since having her in that seat. The questions that we're asking right now, let me just pull open my instant estimate portal because I honestly can't tell you off the fly.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
This whole thing is putting me on the spot. It's fine. So I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing. I'm restricting customers to the materials that I've configured pricing for. My price range, I'm showing a price range. I'm showing 7% down range and 10% up range, meaning that, if a job is $15,000, it's showing them a lower threshold, 7% lower, and an upper threshold, 10% higher. Showing financing options. I'm giving them an 84-month term at 8% interest rate. I'm giving them my link to financing. I recently updated the contact information card so they see my face, my name, my email address, my phone number, and then they can click on book a meeting with me and go direct to my Calendly link. So if they like the pricing, they can direct book me now. And then they can see my social media links. So the one thing we're not showing is Company Cam Project Showcase for no reason other than I don't have that set up yet because we rely heavily on Project Mapit for our showcases. And then the materials I'm showing are 3 different types of shingles: a good, better, best shingle, and then standing seam metal. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yep.
Oh, and then you guys asked about what questions I'm asking. So I'm asking their building type, current material that's on the house, what desired material they want, what their timeline is, what their financing looks like. Do they want financing or not? What are some of their project details? How old is the roof? Do they have any current leaks and damage? And then the contact form.
Nice. And that's kind of like in that vicinity that we see is most powerful, right? Having that 6 to 10 questions in there is where you get the most amount of information that you need to run it. It's not like a pure question, answer, go, because that will just lead to a lot of nothing, or maybe not a lot of nothing, but a lot to sift through versus having too much, having all this information so you can price condition them, and that still gets them through the funnel. If you go upwards of it, we have up to 15 questions that you could ask. 15 will still get you some leads, but you're going to see drop off rates. And that's something that you don't want to see there. You want to be able to pull in as much as you can and build that stuff up there as well.
So one of the things I just want to jump in with, you guys asked me before, what can I attribute my close ratio increasing to? We added all those questions in 2025 because I actually didn't realize that you gave us more questions to include until about 3 months ago. So part of our increase from 2024, what was my close rate? 37.5% in 2024 to 42.8% this year is probably asking better questions.
That's awesome. Yeah, getting that information up front really kind of helps sift through it and stuff and building that out. And I'm glad you're seeing success with that. That's awesome to see.
Yeah. I have plans to start using Instant Estimate for gutters. I have to figure that out. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do that, but I'll figure that one out. And then I also want to start using it for roof maintenance services.
It's a good thing that you brought that up because that's the one thing here. Like, there's so many different ways to kind of open it up. Pete, I'm going to share my screen for a sec.
Yeah.
Because
let's jump into it and show some, because we've got some questions rolling into about, you know, how we set this up a little bit and what are some good, we've got a couple questions here about the actual questions. So how do I select questions? Can I add more questions?
a lot of questions on questions.
Yeah, a lot of questions about questions right here.
Yeah.
And there's some other stuff that we'll dive into here too. But go ahead, share your screen and kind of run through what you were talking about.
The one thing that I found success with is that roof repair and maintenance option. Now, it's such a difficult thing to kind of calculate, but I always consider roof maintenance and roof repair to be kind of the gateway drug into roofing, especially if you're getting that first thing up front, because ultimately people don't know too much about their roof. It's not their first thing on their mind. So if they see something or they see a leak, their first question is going to be, can you repair it? And that can get people in the door. And often the answer is no, we can't repair it. Your roof's cooked. It's 25 years old. It's curled up and we got organic asphalt shingles up there. So having that up there is great for both flat and pitched roofs. I would highly recommend that. And just find a rough square footage that would make sense for you. Your goal is to keep it low enough with a big enough range so that you can still gather interest, because ultimately this is a leading indicator that they're going to need that appointment in there. And ultimately they could pick multiple choices as well. So for my dad's site, this is my demo site, but for my dad's site, he has stuff calculated at around 15 cents to 20 cents a square foot roughly for these for that, and he adds a $1 multi-story surcharge on it. Same thing when you're looking at a repair and maintenance on like a flat roof, he ups it to around $5 a square foot, which is half of what you're charging typically for a full replacement on there, just to get the information in. And that really opens it up. But there's some other ways that you can really utilize this, right? So I have the benefit of my dad using Roofr and myself being a roofer and growing up with them. And he puts it onto his Facebook ads and everything else, like we see here on the back of the truck. There's a QR code, says get a quote for your roof before the light turns green. All that stuff, his ads, all of his, he's got a good social presence. It goes in there, as well as in his local, going back to being 5 Mile famous, in his local Facebook groups and stuff where he gets recommended a lot. They just drop the link into those chats and people will get quotes from that. Even if it's not from that day, people will go back and look at that post and those comments and be able to get quotes off that as well. But also putting on those door hangers that you could have. And like Amanda said, you could gamify this. Each one of these codes can be unique and trackable. So you could have one for John, one for Jane, one for Tim, all your different sales reps. And you can see how they're performing in your performance dashboard. Postcards, mailers. I love postcards and flyers for realtors and property managers. Going back to being 5 Mile famous, those people always need bids. They might not always be serious, but you want to own all the property managers and the realtors in your area so that when they do have formal bids, they can go through it. So you can create a specific realtor or property manager flyer that you know that those leads are most likely not quality, and say to them, no matter when you need a quote, scan this, put this business card in your pocket. You could have that. and you'll get a quote within 30 seconds. If it's a formal bid and you actually need a roof bid on that, put in formal in the notes and I will contact you. Otherwise, I will not. And then what we did a couple weekends ago with my dad's company is he was at a home show and he had a portion of his booth. This is the full booth here, kind of opened up and different things here. And a portion of it is like, how much does your roof cost? Find out in 30 seconds. That's not how you use the mouse, Nick. Everybody's going to get seizures from it. So what it did was we had it open on the screen, and everybody that came by that was just, hey, do you guys do repairs? Hey, do you guys do roof replacements? And they all asked the same question, and it was the same questions I used to get when I was on the phone for my dad's a company all the time. Was I have a 5,000 square foot home. Roughly, how much is that roof going to cost? And I'd be like, yo, like back then, I'd be like, there's so many things that are involved with that. Amanda, often do you get that question?
Oh my God, it's so annoying. I'm like, well, do you have a 5,000 square foot ranch? Do you have a 5,000 square foot 27 facet cut up roof? Do you have an up and over? And then you lose them.
And that's what's difficult. But for here at a home show, you just say, yeah, come over here. You can put in your address. It's interactive. It's fun. People are talking. And then they go around. They get the price. It's emailed to them. You collect their lead information, and I put them into an automation so that after 4 days, it will automatically go up. If they like the bid and they wanted a formal bid and you're good with DIY, you can give them a quote on the spot, which we did for 8 out of the 20 leads that came in at my dad's show and was able to quote that. But then these people walk around that home show and start talking about that stuff to other people. There's 3 other roofers there, and I felt bad for them because I know them and they're actually friends of ours, but they didn't have anybody at their booth. My dad's company had a lineup because my sister was running this, and it was great. And I was there because my nephew was there and he's very cute and he was wearing a Guaranteed Roofing shirt. So it was really cool to see. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of utilize it. And when you're building out this, you can create as much as you want. You can have those price ranges like Amanda's saying, and you can mark it by per square foot. You can have those financing links that you're talking about there too, Amanda, in there. And what's cool is you can create default assignees so that if it is Jim's instant estimator for Jim's business cards, I want it to go to Jim. And each point of contact could have their unique contact card with their bio, their photo, their email, their book a meeting. You could have the Calendly link in there, and everything else can go into it. And be able to create as many as you want here for every single situation for Tom, Josh, whatever the case is, urinal adverts, sports teams, church bulletins, you name it, and being able to track it inside your performance dashboard. So it's got a bigger sample set is really good to understand not only how many leads are coming in from each one of these sources, but how many of them are qualified, one converting at, and the rough ROI on that. That stuff makes a big difference to allow you to kind of be more streamlined. So, and the last thing I'll mention is the questions are right here for everybody. You could add, change, delete, reorder, all that stuff here. Now, it's only the questions that we provide, but we take the feedback from you guys, and you guys tell us what questions you want added, and we can add that all in there. This is with them all turned on. Like I said, I would usually recommend 6 to 10, but allows you to be a little bit more streamlined with everything else there too.
Yeah, there's some questions here coming in, Nick, and we'll just kind of cover them really quick. Andy asked a question about providing more than one price. So I think you just kind of went over, maybe run through it, like maybe run through and control, like you're a customer really quick and just kind of show everybody that's got questions how it actually functions and what it actually looks like so we can get a really good idea.
Yeah, once you type that in, you're going to get that address. It's going to zoom in there and box out that roof. That's going to give them a nice dopamine hit. And then the questions that you set up, like you can see, you can turn them on and off and reorder them, are typically, the way to think about it is the same qualification questions you would ask on the phone. So if somebody called in and said, I have a 5,000 square foot home, how much would that cost? What questions are you going to ask them? Well, Mrs. Jones, how steep is that roof? Is it a residential or commercial project? Is there multiple stories? That could add a surcharge right off the bat. How old is your roof right now? Is there any leaking? Is it a part of an insurance claim? Are you putting solar panels on? Or are you taking them off? What's on there right now? What do you want to go back with? If you notice it only it shrinks to only show what you're offering. When are you looking to get this done? Are you interested in financing? And then they could add anything else in, right? So please help. It's leaking in my son's room. At this point, it brings them to this page. Now, we're not going to give anything away for free, and Amanda's not going to give away anything for free unless she gets something back in return, and she wants your information so she could market to you, so she could have that speed to lead, so she could not waste her salespeople's time for going out there. And so all we do is ask, where should we send your estimates? Now, the big thing is we're not going to ask for your information, because that's another key thing that we've learned. That's how people drop off. So we continue the question of, you want to estimate in 30 seconds? Where should we send the estimate? And they could just type in their information. You could even ask this answer, put in this question as well. Where did you hear about this? To get a secondary info on that stuff as well. And once they go through this, everything that you offer shows up automatically to them. Ranges are solid pricing. We recommend ranges. Like Amanda said, it gives more room to wiggle. You have financing or no financing, where they could do a soft pull right there. Contact card of everything, so they could book a meeting directly in the calendar. A carousel of photos so they can see what's going on, and then be able to compare things. Now, they can pick one or multiple of these, not a problem, and that opens that up, which is nice. You get a roof by numbers, the company cam showcase if you're using company cam, and all your social links would be pinned at the bottom. And this is emailed automatically to that customer, and they could share this with their friends as well to make it open up there. And that will go directly into your job board. You'll see that you have a brand new lead in here, and you can see tasks that are already signed through the automations. Customer and job is created. And my favorite part is all that data that that customer clicked on is now yours. So instead of calling and sounding like every other roofer and saying, hey, Mrs. Jones, how steep is your roof? What's going on with it? Blah, blah, blah. You have that information. So now you can match urgency with urgency. I can go, hey, Mrs. Jones, I noticed that it's leaking in your son's room here. And you're looking to go back with some shingles here. It's pretty urgent and it's leaking. It's about 10 years old and you have an insurance claim. And I saw that you were also interested in the roof repair, the dynasty, and the standing seam. Not a problem. Let me get somebody out there. Where is it leaking? And you can tag your rep in your salesperson in here, or whoever's in there, and saying it's leaking in the back valley. Sounds good. They'll get DM directly to that, and then you can go in and do everything else that you needed. Put in the insurance information, tasks, calendar, proposals, all that fun stuff there, and allow you to streamline that flow even more. And that's where everything kind of makes it gets a little bit easier, because you have that information up front. And the email communication, because I don't know how to do this on a full screen, I'm going to pull this across. Looks like this. Your branding goes directly out to them automatically. And for anybody who's worried about those numbers not being really accurate, they are supposed to be accurate ballpark quotes, but they're not supposed to be dialed in. That's why we have ranges as well. We have big letters on that email saying these are only rough estimates. Accurate proposals are provided once more information sent. And for you guys at that roofing company, you're going to get the email saying, hey, you got a new lead. So you can jump in that speed to lead by clicking on there, and boom, you're into that job, ready to rock and roll.
Hey, also the thing about getting the email is you can set up, what are those called? Rules on your Outlook or Gmail, because it comes from the same email address, or the heading on the subject line says something similar every single time. So you can set up a rule to send that email to your sales admin or somebody else, or send it to multiple people if you wanted.
Yeah, that's really a good point there. The rules and stuff that you can build into Gmail and Outlook are fantastic. And you can really kind of set the stage for that quick offering as well. So,
yeah, and I think one thing to note here, Andy, kind of along with your question, is the flexibility of the instant estimator to be able to put just about anything on there. Like we often, Nick and I will often say you can put everything on there from, Christmas light hanging if you wanted to, right? In the wintertime, you could literally have an instant estimator for hanging Christmas lights. So, or snow removal,
ice damming removal. Like if you're using this in the winter and you're in the northern climate, you're going to get people calling you about snow removal, especially commercial stuff. You can send out mailers to all the property managers and say, we do snow removal. Keep your crews busy, keep them happy in the winter so you can continue to make revenue. And because of the uniqueness with our instant estimator, it's not templated. You can create one. I know I didn't name him, so sorry, he got mad at me. But what you can do is create something from nothing. So you can go from templates, which is nice. But if you're doing snow removal, Christmas lights, whatever the case is, and anything that can be measured by square footage can be put up here, you can create those ice damming removals, and just do it similar to a repair at 10 cents a square foot or something like that.
Yep. I've gotten 3 out of area instant estimates while on this. So you guys are poking around my website. It's pretty funny.
Show yourself, people, in the comments.
And then the another way that we're using it too is for real estate agents, because real estate agents waste my time. And my close rates on real estate referrals are dismal at best. So I created a landing page specifically for real estate agents. And I've even gone so far as making specific landing pages for real estate agents on my website. So it's nice because I'm bringing value to the real estate agent who's just looking for rough estimates on what that roof is going to cost, either a buyer or a seller. I get the information. Now I know that that address has an old roof. Whether they do anything with it or not, I really don't care about, because if they sell if it was a seller's real estate agent, if they sell the house without replacing the roof, now I can send direct mail to the new homeowner because I have that address. So I can use it that way. And then it also saves me time because I don't have to put together a proposal for that real estate agent, because all they want is a range.
Yeah. And if they did want something formal, they can reach out to you from that email, from that automation. And then there's that. And that's what's nice about it, is you're committed to that 5 Mile Famous. You want to make sure that they're happy with you, because you will get real ones eventually from there. But you are creative enough to understand, like, that roof needs a new that house needs a new roof, so I'm going to send direct mail to that person once they move in. So it's a fantastic opportunity there for it as well.
Yeah, I have to say, Amanda, that I was a real estate agent who was guilty of that. I actually texted Nick on a Saturday and said, "Can you give me a ballpark estimate of what this roof would cost?" while I was at an open house.
I get so much anxiety when I hear from certain real estate agents.
There's a question on, can you be more like super specific with that? Yeah, you can name it to whatever you want in there. These are very basic
that I have in there, but you can have in ICO 3 tab or whatever the case is, or Nordic IR shingles, anything that you need.
I don't know what just happened.
Was that him?
Nick just turned into a robot.
What?
Nick, I think you're underwater in a submarine all of a sudden.
Oh no, are we all going down?
Are we back?
Where's the tech team?
I think we're back.
Okay.
Yes, no, maybe. It's still Nick. Nick has still got it.
Oh man.
We don't need Nick. Put yourself on mute, Nick.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, have we missed any of your data any of the insights, Amanda? I know we kind of been trying. Pedro said it was Nick's gummies kicking in. That's awesome.
Oh man.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm sure I've got 1,000 more insights to share with you guys. I respond really well with direct questions like, hey, how does this data look that way? But one of the things that I looked at before was, oh gosh. Just if you guys are curious, like what my largest dollar amount was that I sold through Instant Estimate. Let me look here. I think it was actually one of the first ones I ever sold, was my largest one.
We did have a question earlier too about commercial. Have you run any commercial through yours at all, Amanda?
No, we don't do much commercial, period.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
So my data's being sorted weird. So I've had multiple in the upper $30,000 range, and my largest one was almost a $50,000 project.
Wow.
And these are residential retail.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
That's a cool thing about it. Like you still robot?
You're still very laggy, Nick. It must be the shed office.
The
The shed
shed.
office is interfering. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh, well, anyway, I want to thank you, Amanda, for jumping on. I think this has been some incredible insight. Some great questions, I think, have come in, because of it. And like you said, some people poking around the website, checking it out. If you guys are not using the Instant Estimator, obviously, it's a great tool. It can be leveraged in so many ways. It's very flexible. And it really is a great lead funnel, right? It's just a really great way to get leads in the system, to profile those leads a bit. And, and obviously Amanda's got the data to prove that it's streamlining the process as well for her, and increasing the ticket size apparently as well. So I thought that was a really interesting stat. If you guys do have questions about the Instant Estimator, feel free to reach out to Nick or I. Always remember, he hates K's. So it's NIC@roofr.com. So I always like to make that point. Nick is allergic to K's. And so, just reach out, hit us up. I'm sure Amanda would be happy to answer any questions if you guys have them. Or, you can reach out to your implementation specialist or your account manager here at Roofr to help you get rolling if you're not currently using it or if you have questions about how it operates. So I want to thank everybody for jumping on. Thank you, Amanda, again, for coming on. Great. Like I said, some really great information, and I think everybody got a lot out of it. So appreciate it. Appreciate you. Oh, we almost forgot, because Nick's on mute. We almost forgot our sock giveaway. We have these incredible socks with Nick and I's face on them, and it looks like Jason is our winner. So you won some socks, Jason. We will be sure to make, I think, I don't know how that works, Nick, but I think Jen will reach out to you, and she'll get you those socks over to you. So congrats on that. You get some socks with Nick and I's face on them. Probably the rarest of the Roofr sock collection. So excited about that. Nick and I think we're the only ones that have a pair, aren't we, Nick?
I think there's like toes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining the masterclass, and we will see you next time. Thank you, Amanda.
Hey, everybody. Thanks. Take care.